Hello there and good morning. It is Tuesday, October 8th, and I am breathing in that good ass piranha, baby. I just watched a video by Ralph Smart, and he was talking about limiting beliefs and how we need to be able to break those limiting beliefs so that we can reach our full potential. And so I'm staying positive. I'm thinking about my next steps in my life, the next chapter of my life, right? And I'm thinking about what I want to do, where I want to go, what kind of position do I want to be in, and how do I take the first step, a baby step, to get to where I want to go. So I really truly see myself as a person in Hayward that is known around the world. I want to travel the world. I want to go to other communities in the world and talk to them and learn from them and dance and play music and, be in that space. So I know that I want to be in a position where I am creating. The best way I create is through writing and through dancing and through creating just visuals. I think I'm a very visual person. I know how to take really good photographs at good angles, and I'm very just creative when it comes to showing visual things like on screen, right? So that's something that I'm really interested in. And that's something that I want to keep producing. I want to keep producing storytelling. So there's that. There's me wanting to continue to build Haystack Mujer, my business, right? I want to create a sustainable ecosystem here in Hayward where I can sustain myself from the money that I make and have the lifestyle that I want. I want to be able to buy a house in South Hayward. I want to be able to travel the world. I want to be able to have equipment for music, for DJing, for, Ableton, for just me being able to create in the way that I need to. Access to cameras, right? So that I can, when I have ideas to be able to create that, and having sustainable funding for me to be able to create. Essentially a production company, right? Where I am, let's say, an executive producer or just a creator, a writer, right? I just create whatever comes to my mind, but all with the sense of telling the story of Hayward, helping to produce stories that are from Hayward, right? So there's that. And finally, I care so much about community organizing and bringing the community together through doing events and unity and spreading out a positive message. So I want to be able to combine all of those and be a woman that has financial power, financial freedom, the ability to invest heavily in people from Hayward. I want to be a woman who I love fashion. I love clothes. I want to be a woman who's able to support, even what's her name? The girl from Hayward that makes garments, she has her own fashion line, Shami Oshun. I want to be able to afford her clothing because she's from Hayward. She went to Hayward High, and she's out there hustling, making her clothes, putting her clothes on the market, right? And her clothes is very unique. It's I like the idea of being able to invest. That's an investment. Being able to invest in people from Hayward and in doing the things that they love to do, right? And so a lot of it is okay, so that's how I would use my money, apparently, right? I would travel. I would, love to pay for my parents' home. So I don't want them to work anymore. I want my mom and my dad to enjoy their lives, right? So there's that. And so, when I see myself out in the world, I want to be a woman who walks around Hayward and the world feeling confident, feeling empowered, feeling like if I want to go towards something, I know that I can go towards it. And even if I get told no, then okay, no. Walk away with grace, come back, I want to be a woman with style, a woman who carries herself and people are like, who the hell is that? I want to be a woman who is confident in her sexuality, being free in who I am and expressing my feelings and being able to cry when I need to and want to, and feeling being a leader in the community, creating and carving out pathways for people to understand that, oh, I can make money doing what I love, and I can do it here in my hometown, and it's a sacrifice to do it, but I can do it because look, she's doing it, right? I want to be a woman who when I walk into a room, I influence that room in such a way that people treat each other with love, dignity, and respect. And we're able to actually hash out ideas. And if there's an argument or a debate, we do so respectfully. And, you know, the work is always rooted in humanity, in the fact that we're all humans and we live in this world and we cohabitate with creatures of this world, animals, with the environment, taking care of the environment. And so, you know, I'm looking at this as an opportunity to move forward, to continue living my life. One of the things that my godmother said is to visualize, well, what is the next step? What is it that I want? And what is the next step so that I can get to that place? And for me, you know, my Nina was like, what about going back to school? And that's interesting that she said that, because I have thought about going for my MBA. And I remember one of the things that stopped me was like doing the GRE. I was like, I'm not trying to pay for this. I'm not trying to study for this. Like, what if I want to use my time on DJing and this and that? And it's like, that's cool. Like, yeah, it's time and sacrifice and things like that. But at the same time, like, it's not like I have a lot of free time now. And it's not like, you know, I for reals like go in the studio and like DJ, and yeah, I did make a couple beats on Ableton, but it's not like I'm hella into like, yeah, now I want to like DJ and or continue to create beats, right? I think that what has always been consistent in my life is that I care about making the world a better place. And when I was younger, it was like, the world, I want to make the world a better place. And now it's become, I want to make South Hayward a better place to live and work and breathe and everything, because that's way more attainable than I want to change the whole world, right? I think that if I focus on South Hayward, because that's where I grew up and that's where there is need, if I focus on South Hayward, then I'm going to yield a lot better results, because then I'll be able to focus my efforts on that, and then from there scale it outward, right? But for now it's just like, focus on South Hayward. Well, what particular issue do I want to focus on in South Hayward? What about violence towards women? Because that's a very real thing, right? And so what tangible violence is there towards women? Well, I've seen verbal violence, emotional, psychological, physical, sexual, right? I've experienced sexual harassment and like feeling unsafe, and you know, so in what way do I kind of focus, right? And so there's a lot of things that I want to do to make the world a better, to make South Hayward a better place. But one of the main things that's forefront always on my mind is creating a platform for music and art. And creating a platform can mean anything from like looking at things like trap art, right? Looking at things like you know, looking at you know, what else? I mean, there's like magazines, and there's, you know, like people that have started YouTube channels. And the way that I see Haystack Mujer, it's a global media platform for storytelling, culture, and entrepreneurship. What does that mean? It means that I want to create a strong visual, like audio visual presence to show, well, what is Hayward, you know? And what's come to my mind as well is Issa Rae, and how she created, you know, Awkward Black Girl through YouTube, and now she has her show on HBO, right? And so I think that's really cool, you know? So I'm still finding my way. I just know that creating is a really strong part of my life. And so, but sometimes I don't have, it could be really hard to have incentive to create when you're thinking about like, fuck, like I need to eat and I need to like rather than spending an hour, 2 hours on creating this thing, I need to actually spend it on making money so I could pay my bills and things like that. And so these are all very real things that happen in my mind. And so, anyways, so, in visualizing who I want to become, what I want to be doing, I want to eventually have a space for Haystack Mujer in South Hayward where we have a bunch of equipment, where, like it's a production studio, it's where things are created, it's where you can come and pitch an idea and like, well, how do you go about raising funds for that? Or how do you go about, what's it called? Creating something that like you really feel should be created, especially if it's something of your culture or something that your people are facing or something that you really feel doesn't get enough attention in the mainstream media or whatever it may be. So that's the way I'm leaning towards. And I know I've talked about record label, I've talked about I think there's a lot that still needs to get fleshed out, but I think the more and more that I think about it, of what I want to do, where I want to go, the more it becomes clear. And I want to just stay true to that, because if I start veering off and like, well, I'll just get any old job just to make money, how long am I going to do that for? I'm going to waste a year doing this other thing that has really nothing to do with what I love, and just for the money, right? And so, which is not to say that the money is going to be necessarily good, or that it is a waste of time, because it might be that I learn a lot of things or whatever. But I just want to stay true to what I really, really want to do, so that I continue building. And so, my Nina asked me about like, what about going back to school? The MBA has been on my mind. It's something that I actually like. I started the application. I paid for the CSUEB application, and where I stopped was the GRE, because I was just in this place of like, it costs hella money. I don't want to do it. Like, I just didn't want to do it, So it really depends on what I want, because if I really want something, I'll do it. Like, I'll get clear on it, right? So really trying to figure that out. So yeah, dude, that's where I'm at. Like, I just want to, like, I've thought about getting my certification to be a coach for boxing. Like, that would be interesting. I would love to teach girls and women that don't necessarily want to fight professionally or fight in the ring or anything, but just fighting to defend yourself, to gain confidence, to be able to learn how to fight for yourself. Like, that's really important, So I think that ties in with my whole piece of, fighting against violence against women, right? Like, ending violence against women. So, and I think that in line with, there's like, there's no shortage of ideas for Haystack Mujer, basically, but I need to get focused, right? And so anyways, the whole point, I beat around the bush a lot, but the whole point is, when my Nina brought that up about going back to school, it got me thinking, like, well, I did almost go for my, apply to be in the MBA program. Like, why can't I, that's definitely a reality that I can step into, And I'm remembering Tim right now, and how he's telling me, like, he's learning a whole bunch of theory and all these things about like social justice and institutional, like injustice and racism and things like that. And like, it makes me miss school, because that's what I loved about school. I loved learning. I love being in an environment where like my mind was being blown, and I'm like, holy crap. And like, I was looking at the world differently, and I was able to apply these things into my life. I really love that. And I missed that, right? And I think that when I did my bachelor's, a lot of it was, I'm kind of just doing my bachelor's because like I need to do my bachelor's, It was like, I don't know, like, it was this inward thing that was just like, I just got to get it done, And I think a big part of it was like, pressure from my parents, and it's a good thing to get it's like cool to get your bachelor's. You learn, all these things. There's definitely downsides for me, going into debt and whatnot, but I think with the MBA, it's gonna be different. It's gonna have a different flavor, because now I'm actually like, no, I actually have a business idea that I want to start in Hayward. of something that we don't have here that I think would solve a problem here in Hayward. You know, what problem is it solving? Well, it's telling the story of Hayward, and it's being able to produce stories, and that tells the story of Hayward. Being able to fight against violence against women, verbal, emotional, psychological, physical, sexual, by what? By women telling their stories, women learning how to tell their stories, and women learning self-defense and learning. Yeah, so there's so much there. So again, it goes back to like there's a lot I need to flesh out, but I think that I'll have a chance to do that if I were to go for my MBA. And I guess if I were to make a so this video is about, like my Nina told me, visualize where you want to be and what is one step to get to that. Okay, so I already visualize, I have visualized, I have said out loud, this is where I want to be, this is what I want to be doing with my career, with my life. It's very important for me to travel the world. It's very important for me. I love fashion. I want to be able to invest in people from Hayward that are creating fashion. Shami Oshun comes to mind. And I want to be able to, I love standing out. I love walking into a room and feeling like I'm influencing the room just with my presence. You know, I want to be able to have a circle of people around me that are friends, but that are also creators. You know, people that are actually making things, people that are out there, that are from Hayward, that are trying to get their shit out there. I love that, you know, and I want to build a close-knit circle of those people. So, you know, I want to be creating. I want it to be my job to create. And I want it, and it's still like, even the creating, even the storytelling on my part, the storytelling on, like, I've thought about there's like so much that I want to do, like write a book, and like I'm interested in being behind the camera and like shooting like short movies or like a show, or you know, I've dabbled in like creating music now, and you know, I definitely, writing is always going to be something that's really central to me. Public speaking is really key. You know, continuing to get out there and tell stories and do things that are really creative and entertaining and fun and thought-provoking, and like things that make you cry. And I think that I'm still trying to become clear on what exactly my creation, like what I create, right? Because there's some people that are only about producing, only about writing, and I feel like my mind is like so like I want to do everything, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that. It's just recognizing that, like, one thing at a time, right? And so anyways, so the MBA, okay, you know, that would be interesting, looking into deadlines, you know, looking into when things are due, what I have to do. I know I have to take the GRE, you know, being prepared for that, you know, understanding that, okay, well, what is the MBA going to help me do? Like, how is that going to take me to the next step of where I want to go? Well, I think it's going to give me a lot of structure and hold me accountable to Haystack Mujer, because I'm very committed to Haystack Mujer. But a lot of the times I kind of let it go in the pursuit of I need to make money, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm in school, it's gonna just keep me focused, I think, in really fleshing out the business plan, in fleshing out, well, how exactly does Haystack Mujer make money? And why would anybody invest in Haystack Mujer? And how do I pitch this to somebody so I can get a $10,000 investment así? How do I make sure that I'm creating Haystack Mujer into a valuable, profitable company that's making money, that is successful, that is actually helping the people of Hayward have a commonality, have some sense of organization, have some sense of identity, especially among girls and women. I am biased. Girls and women. I want girls and women from Hayward that associate in any way with Hayward, that were born here, that were raised here, that claim here this place as home, to feel like yeah, like I'm a badass bitch. and I deserve love, dignity, and respect, and I'm not gonna be treated poorly, and I'm gonna make my money's worth, and I'm gonna be happy, and I'm gonna love myself, and I'm gonna be just a fucking badass in the world, and I'm gonna travel the world. Anyways, so there's a lot on my mind there, but this video, I have to keep reminding myself, this video is about just the next step. What is the next step? So I think that the next step is looking into grad school at CSU East Bay, into my MBA. Hee. That's actually really exciting because I love school. I love learning, you know? And the cost and everything, that's always going to be something. But it's like, come on, dude. Let's make this shit happen. You get some money for school. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. I'm excited. All right. Peace out.